there's also the truth part in Truth and Reconciliation. And it just seems like people talk about it, but they don't want to get to the truth part of it. They want to sort of avoid the harder realities of colonialism and the systems that we are still living with. What would you want Canadians to actually confront? How would you actually like them to show up if they want to take reconciliation seriously and if they want to
Mhm.
confront the past and the present?
Okay. Well, I know the truth. Sometimes hearing the truth is difficult for people to hear when it comes to anything, not just reconciliation, but when it comes to other topics that might be difficult or touch the heart or might have pain when you hear them. Listen, the TRC calls to action, they came out 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, Only 14 of them have been achieved, the calls to action. I think in percentage wise, that represents about 15% of the calls to action have been achieved. The last ones that were have been achieved were back in 2023.
Mm.
So since then, no new calls to action have been achieved. I know shortly after the discovery of the unmarked graves of the 215 children in the Kamloops residential school were discovered in 2021 during
Yeah.
COVID. I think that really increase the consciousness of average Canadians, and perhaps it was more tangible for them. Now there was evidence of some of the awful things which took place in residential school for them.
Yeah.
Media picked up those stories and it made a lot of coverage, and that was when we saw, you know, more significant increase in these calls to action being achieved. Since then, it's sort of stalled. So I think for the average Canadian, I'd implore you to maybe lean on our elected officials, both federal, provincial, and in some cases municipal. There's about 78 of those calls to action that are solely within the domain of our federal governments, and some in partnership with provincial. So
Mm.
we need to really lean on them to make things happen. Reconciliation is not taking away the rights of other Canadians. It's not a trend or fad. It's not something for someone else to do. This
Yeah.
is something where all Canadians need to achieve. And a lot of the heavy lifting has to come from our elected officials and governments to put policies in place to make some of these things happen.